Thank you, Governor, and thanks for the great work that you have done. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I want to thank my colleagues in the federal government for being here. Brian Higgins and Louise Slaughter, both of whom have really worked hard for Western New York. Our state delegation, Stack, that's Stokowski, Senator Stokowski and Senator Thompson, as well as Assemblyman Gabrizak and Mayor Deister. Thank you all for being here, as well as Clyde, you leadership, you and your team, and the reason we're all here, the guys in the hats. So they'll be working and working and working and getting those dollars. So thank you, guys. And that is the reason. Why did Washington send money to Western New York? It's a four-letter word. J-O-B-S. Jobs, 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 jobs. That's the whole idea of this stimulus package, plain and simple. Right now, as was mentioned, there's high unemployment from one end of America to the other. And the worry was that if we sat there in Washington and just fought with one another and nitpicked and twiddled our thumbs, things would keep getting worse and worse and worse, and Lord knows we could end up in a Great Depression type situation. Herbert Hoover, who was the president during the Great Depression, did nothing when there was a serious recession, but it wasn't a depression. And that's what happened. It took us a decade to get out of it. Well, we're not doing that. And under the president's leadership, we decided we had to pump some money into the pockets of the middle class. And then the middle class would take that money and get it into the economy. So when we employ these construction workers through this program, they're going to go to the stores and they're going to go to the restaurants and they may buy a car or may go on that vacation in August. And that means those groups, the store owners and the car manufacturers, will be able to maybe start rehiring some people. And we'll get some money out of Washington, pulsing through the veins of Western New York, and turn this rotten economic situation around. That's the idea. And you can pick at things. Yeah, it could have been done a little differently this way, and it could have been done a little differently that way, but we had to get money into the economy fast because it was heading downhill fast. And that was the point. And that's why the federal government said that the projects had to be ready. Most of these projects have been approved already by the state. They've gone through all the environmental hoops. They're ready to go. And the rule, as David said, is got to be ready in 180 days, or you can't do them. And that's why a lot of these are maintenance and rebuilding, not grand new projects. We're going to have time for that when Brian and Louise and I and the delegation work on the big transportation bill that will come up this fall in the Senate. I think it comes up a little sooner in the House. But the idea here was to have some speed. 1,700 jobs, but it's not just 1,700 jobs. They're what the economists call the multiplier effect. Give money to an iron worker or an electrician, and when they go spend it in the stores or buying things, that gives money to someone else, and then they spend it, and it gives some money to someone else. And it's how Franklin D. Roosevelt got us out of the mess that we were in back then. And that's what we're trying to do here. And it's a strong package, it's a good package. And here, let me tell you some things that are pretty good. This is the first package out of Washington in decades where New York gets more back than we sent down there. That hasn't happened in a very long time. And that's because we crafted the bill that way. Not just with the transportation, the roads and bridges jobs, but we also made sure that the number of police and teachers and firefighters who were going to be laid off wouldn't be. We made sure that the money was put, the tax cuts went directly to middle-class people, instead of most of it going to the higher ends, which had happened in the past, because they don't spend it. They don't have to. They don't need it. And so this package is, I think, very smartly crafted, and we're going to see the results. And here's another thing, credit to the governor. Not only does New York do best, by the way, per capita, per person, we do the best of the 50 states in terms of amount of money coming to us. We are number one. When was the last time you heard that out of something out of Washington? You hadn't. And that's how that's the whole package as a whole, and that's how it works. But then the governor did another good thing. Some states are taking the transportation money, and yeah, they're taking the federal dollars and they're putting them out for transportation, and they're taking away the state money that they were going to put in. So there's no real net increase. This governor, to his credit, and the credit of our legislators, said this money is going to be in addition. So not only are we getting the $70 million federally, but there's another 110, I guess it is, out of the state, so that's $180 million. The 1,700 jobs we're talking about is just the federal, but there'll be more because of the state. And so altogether, this is great. We've tried to take community concerns into account as well. One of the projects is the Robert Moses Parkway here, right here in Niagara County. It's named after the man who revolutionized New York transportation and who put people to work on public works during the Great Depression. So it's appropriate. And he used the money just as we are using the money to put people back to work by building highways and bridges and roads. And Moses sometimes is considered a polarizing figure because he didn't take community concerns into account. For instance, on the Robert Moses Parkway, there's been a great debate in Niagara County as to what to do. So what we said in this, what the governor said, and we are saying, is that between the I-190 and John B. Daley Boulevards, we're going to do reconstruction, but we're not wasting taxpayer money between Main Street and Findlay Drive, which is being considered for removal. And that makes sense. So what we're trying to do is take community concerns into account, spend the money quickly, and get the job done. So, bottom line, this is really going to help. This is the best shot in the arm, and by the way, we can't say this too loudly, but Western New York. First I said New York does very well among the 50 states. Western New York, in terms of this money, does very well among the regions. This is not a time when people are not paying attention or Western New York is getting the short end of the stick in terms of this money. At the very minimum, Western New York gets its fair share, and many would say better than their fair share. And that's great. So, I want to thank the governor. This stimulus package took a lot of work. And I was on the phone with him at 11 at night, probably every night. There were all kinds of attempts, particularly in the Senate. We had crafted the package to be best for New York. And there were all kinds of attempts in the Senate where the small states dominate, because we have 2 senators and Wyoming has 2 senators, to take the change, to change the way it's done to hurt us. And I would call him up at 11 at night. I'd say, Governor, can you call the governor of this state and get them to get their senators to vote with us? And there he was, through thick and thin. So it was a great partnership. We got done, I think, what we have to do. And Brian and Louise and I are going to be looking out to make sure the money is spent where it's supposed to be spent. And yes, if those other states mess up, we'll be happy to take their extra money and put some of it here back into Western New York as well. So thank you for being here. I know how hard you work. I got relatives in Local 3, the New York City IBEW, and the laborers and others. I know what our construction workers are trying to do. Just work hard, not complain, and have a decent life for them and their children. This recession has taken that away from some people, and hopefully this stimulus package can help bring it back. Thank you.